I recently bought a caricature, which for those of you who have never been to the zoo, is when you pay a cartoonist in a lawn chair to draw your face in a way that exaggerates all the features you were bullied for in middle school. I have a hard time even smiling normal for photos. I'm the idiot that ends up looking like this. So what do you do when you're sitting on a dusty rock watching a stranger in a beret go Jackson Pollock on what's supposed to be your face? You regret your decision. That's what you do. But your 25 bucks are dead and gone, so might as well see this through and find out how sensitive you are. And you know what unflattering feature Jeff the starving artist exaggerated on my face? Thank you for not answering. When I asked my parents that, they answered me. They had ideas. And they answered so fast too, like this was already on their mind. Like this was something they had thought about more than once. They're like, it was your nose, wasn't it? First of all, Dad, this is your nose. I'm taking a martial arts class right now, and it's not what I was expecting. I'm like, oh, I'll learn some karate, learn some cool moves. Nope, it's all grappling. Which is actually really nice for me, because my love language is physical touch. Really scratches that itch. First thing we learned is how to mount each other. And yes, that's what it's called. I've learned that there are two types of people in this martial arts class. There are wannabe MMA fighters with no healthy outlet for their emotions, and me. So we partnered up for practice the other day, and the girl I was with sized me up and asked, what do you think they would do if someone died in this class? I'm also taking a self-defense class right now, and they teach us how to identify dangerous situations. So I'm obviously doing very poorly in that class. So I was practicing how to grab this girl from behind so I could choke her, you know, like you do in a BYU swell class. And with no warning, she throws herself backwards, slams me into the ground, and starts rolling around. I'm just clinging to her like a koala in a hurricane. Am I allowed to tap out if I'm the attacker? We just switched to you choking me already? I ended up using this advanced move called Run for Your Life. Been on the move ever since. Speaking of being on the move, do you ever just forget about snails? Just me? I saw some snails the other day, and I realized I hadn't thought about snails for a good 6 months at least. Snails were just not on my radar. You never expect to see a snail. It's like when you're listening to a song and Ed Sheeran starts singing, and you're like, how did this get in here? I think, my theory is that snails are secretly the fastest. You know, sometimes we mix them up with their slow cousins, the slugs. But remember, snails are the ones with the engine pack. They just don't let us see them at their best because we haven't learned to love them at their worst. That's not supposed to be sad. But plus, snails have been pulling this prank on us for 150 million years, so they're in too deep to stop now. But what if they did? What if the snails just pull out all the stops one day? Can you imagine just this little snailpede hurtling towards you, like little slimy cannonballs from below? It'd be terrifying. There's your spooky, scary thought of the day. You wouldn't forget about snails then. I used to think that Valley Girl was short for valedictorian. Which proves that grades don't measure intelligence because I was the valedictorian. I just didn't know what words meant, but you can't admit that when you're in high school. I was this sheltered little Mormon girl in Pennsylvania, so I would hear a new word like simp. Not know what it meant. I'm not going to ask my friends because I'm a senior in high school. Even though I don't know what it means, I know that it's embarrassing that I don't know what it means. I'm not going to ask my mom because I don't want to know that she knows what it means. She can't find out about this stuff before me. And I'm not going to ask Urban Dictionary because it doesn't have a filter for sheltered little Mormon girls in Pennsylvania. There was just this awkward language barrier between me and all other American teenagers. Like, friends would try to gossip with me, but they would just not work. All I could do was smile and nod every time they spilled the tea. It would be like me announcing to a completely uneducated audience that I'd found support for the dyadic withdrawal hypothesis. All right, that comparison works. So what I would do is every time a friend talked to me, I would just pretend to know what they were talking about and try to use context clues to figure it out. My friend would be like, I heard Leangela, name changed, has a thong. I'd be like, that's awesome. Is it bigger than a bread box? No one tells me these things. No one shoots me a text when we come up with a new meaning for a word that I now have to stop using in its correct context. When a new word drops, I'm so late picking up on it. It's like albums. When a new album comes out, I won't know about it until 6 months later when I'm in the car with a friend and they put it on. And I'm like, oh, did this just come out? And they're like, you're getting off here. And I'm like, I'm driving. And they're like, I don't care. I can't be seen with you anymore. You know those days. Oh, you know those days. So when Sick got rebranded, I was talking to a friend and he was telling me about a girl he was going out with. And he described her as, quote, sick, like super sick, close quote. Oh my gosh, is she gonna be okay? I'm so sorry for her. And he thought I was insulting him, which also worked. It wasn't until later that I found out that sick doesn't mean sick anymore. Sick is a good thing. We want our friends to be sick. When people are sick, we want to be around them as much as possible. We want to breathe the air they breathe and share their food. And even with this change of definition, I am remarkably healthy. Thank you, guys.